Hey guys, what's going on? Megan here. All right, the next video you guys voted for the tier list for tier list Tuesday and tier list Thursday is back exercises. If you haven't watched the other ones on chest and what was the first one? I forgot what the first one was, but anyway, just watch the other ones. The links will be in the description. But anyway, so let's get straight to it. There goes the five categories. And to be as objective as possible, I'm gonna rate these exercises based on how effective they are at obviously recruiting your back, how efficient they are, obviously recruiting other muscles, so you're saving time in the gym, and obviously how good they are at progressively overloading. You know how easy it is to progressively overload. Now, keep in mind, guys, I'm ranking these exercises based, they're relative to each other, right? Based on if you could only pick one exercise for back for the rest of your life, what would it be? That's the main methodology that I'm using to rank these, right? So if I say that an exercise ranks low, it doesn't mean that the exercise is useless. It just means that if I had to pick one exercise in a training program for back for the rest of my life, that won't be it, right? Because last video there was a lot of misunderstandings with push-ups. Everyone was like, "Oh, why'd you rank push-ups so low?" And I'm like, "Motherfucker, listen to the video, read the description. I clearly say this is relative. If I could only pick one exercise for my chest for the rest of my fucking life, it will not be fucking push-ups, right? That's common fucking sense. That doesn't mean that push-ups is a bad movement. It just means relative to the other movements, it's definitely not number one, right? So that's what I mean when I put an exercise at the top, which is the I'm about to nut category, or if I put it at the bottom at pure garbage, okay? So, I don't see anybody in the comment section say, well, this exercise is a great movement. Yeah, if you're adding it to the other three. Anyway, so let's get straight to it. I'm gonna try to go fast because every time I say I'm gonna go fast, the video ends up being 20 fucking minutes long. All right, so I'm gonna randomly pick them. Dumbbell pullover for lats. Right? And keep in mind, guys, this is for lat. This is for the whole back, right? Lats, because I don't want to do a video for lats and upper back rhomboids and spinal erectors and shit like that. So this is just for your whole back, right? So width and thickness at the same time. So dumbbell pullovers. If I could only do one back exercise for the rest of my life, this one would be at the complete bottom, right? It's great. And keep in mind, it's a good exercise for stretch. You're trying to stretch your lats. It also activates a good portion of your chest. You're also going to get some tricep involvement. It's a good exercise by itself, right? But if you compare it to all the other back movements, and if your goal is maximum back development, it would not be number one on the list. So I'm going to put that one at pure garbage. Next, pull down. Sorry, not pull down. The straight bar pull down, right? So it's pretty much the pullover with the cable. Again, if I could only do one exercise for the rest of my life for back, it would not be this. So I want to put it at bad instead of pure garbage, simply because the contraction you get in this movement is insane, right? It's a good exercise. I personally love it, especially if your form is correct, right? And it's also better than the dumbbell variation because there's tension throughout the entire range of motion. Whereas when you're doing the dumbbell, you kind of lose tension as you get to the top. But I'm going to put it as bad because, again, relative to all these other exercises, this one is not in, I'm about to nut category. Next, this is, I love this exercise. Dorian Yates made it really, really popular. This is the hammer strength Isolario pull down. I'm going to put that one at fucking amazing. It's a great exercise, guys. It's a great exercise. Even though it's a machine, I know a lot of guys think machines is like the devil. No, this is hammer strength equipment is like the best of both worlds, right? You combining free weights and machine. It's right there in the middle. It's not really a purely hippie machine movement, and it's also not purely a free weight movement. It's right there in the middle. It's great for isolating a muscle. But I'm gonna put that fucking amazing, right? You get a great contraction. You can get a really, really good stretch at the top, right? I like exercises where I can get a good stretch and a good contraction. And of course, it has a really low risk of injury, right? If you snap your shit up doing this movement, something is clearly wrong with you. And it's obviously good to, it's easy to progressively overload. You could add plates, and eventually when you max out the plates, you could just do more time on the tension. You could focus more on the eccentrics, blah, 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 blah. Watch my videos on all the different ways to progressively overload, other than just adding weight. Next, the T-bar roll in the corner, popularized by obviously Arnold and Pumping Iron and Ronnie Coleman. I'm going to put that one at I was gonna be biased and put it I'm about to nut category, but I'm gonna put that one at fucking amazing, right? I love this exercise, simply because, again, based on your body mechanics, you might have to step on plates and things like that to kind of get a better range of motion. But it's a really good exercise. Remember, your lats, don't just do abduction; they also do extension, right, and hyperextension. So it's a good exercise to recruit your lats, to recruit your rhomboids, to recruit your mid traps, a little bit of your upper traps, your biceps. Just great movement overall, and the fact that it's free weights obviously recruits a lot of stabilizer muscles. So I'm definitely gonna put that one at fucking amazing because it recruits your back thickness muscles and your back width muscles, right? Next, bent over barbell roll. I'm gonna put that one at. I'm about to nut, guys. I'm about to nut. That's it. Came out ski ski. Why? Because this exercise right there. If I could only pick one exercise for the rest of my life, it would definitely be it for back. Because you're hitting your rhomboids, you're hitting your mid traps, your lower traps, you're hitting your upper traps, believe it or not. You're hitting your real delts, you're hitting a little bit of your biceps, a little bit of forearms. You obviously, it's a free weight movement, so you obviously got to engage, a lot of your stabilizer muscles. And the only downside is that if you have a weak back, like myself, I stepped my back a long time ago. If you have a weak back, it's kind of hard to progressively overload, because as you add weights, your lower back starts to become a limiting factor. But other than that, it's by far, I believe, the best exercise for back because you get the best of both worlds. Now, of course, this is if I can only pick one exercise, right? Because of course, in real life scenario, I'm going to add a bunch of other exercises to complement the weaknesses of the bent over roll. But if you can only pick one, it'll be the bent over roll. Bent over roll, pendulum roll, same shit, right? Next, the pullovers, but this time using the machine, the Nautilus machine. I'm gonna put that one at okay, right? Now, why is it that I put it at okay, even though the other pullovers are ranked lower? Because this one not only locks you in place, but the fucking just the feel of this exercise. It's a shame that most gyms don't have it, but you get a great stretch at the top and a crazy, I mean crazy contraction at the bottom, right? And it keeps you locked in place, so you can't really use too much body English to get the weight going. In fact, Dorian Yates also popularized this movement years ago when he was doing his workout video. But I absolutely love this exercise for lats. It's just that most gyms don't fucking have it. I fucking hate that shit. Moving along, chest supporter roll. I'm gonna put the chest supporter roll at fucking amazing. Again, why? Because you're recruiting your lats, your mid back, rhomboids, mid traps, all of that shit, biceps, real delts, all in one movement, right? And it's actually the reason why I put it at fucking amazing instead of okay is because if you have lower back injuries like myself, right, this is actually a fucking savior, right? Because it completely takes out the lower back. Now, some might argue and say that it's bad because you're not actually recruiting those other muscles, but I'd rather do chest supported roll than no back exercise at all, simply because of a bad back. And it's very, very hard to get injured doing this exercise. Next, the low roll, right? The isolateral hammer strength low roll. This one, to be honest, guys, I'm about to nut. I'm putting this one out. I'm about to nut category because it's pretty much a T-bar roll without needing your lower back. So again, if you got lower back pain or injuries or you're worrying about snapping your shit up, this exercise is fucking amazing. You're doing a T-bar roll without having to worry about a weak posterior chain stopping you, right? You get a good stretch. You can stretch this bitch all the way out, especially if you pile on the weights, and just to get a sick contraction and this tension throughout the range of motion, right? Great exercise. Again, hammer strength. Big shout out to these guys. They make some of the best exercise equipment. Next one is again it's the isolator roll, but this one is pretty much to your chest. I'm gonna put that one at fucking amazing. You guys know I love training back. It's my favorite body part to train. Up there with shoulders and traps. So I've tried all of these exercises over the years. This exercise is amazing. Especially if you're trying to focus more on the back thickness as opposed to back width. You're still gonna get some back width activation, right? You're obviously gonna get some lat activation, right? Because you're doing extension here, and some can argue you can even do hyper extension here. But the rhomboids and mid traps definitely get engaged. Next up, rack pulls. All right, everybody that knows me knows that it's my favorite exercise of all time. Until I obviously got my injury and I couldn't do it anymore. But Rack pulls, believe it or not, if I could only do one back exercise for the rest of my life, and this is the rack pulls above the knee. I used to call it the Megan pulls because rack pulls was normally done below the knee, and I figured out that it was the best exercise for the upper traps if you did it above the knee because you will focus on um, the stretching part of the movement. Anyway, go watch the video. It's like back in 2012. But believe it or not, for overall back development, I'm gonna put that one as back. Right. If my focus is to have a great back, and I'm including the lats, rhomboids, traps, all that stuff, I'm definitely gonna put the rack pull above the knee on my number one spot. Right. Because again, the range of motion is very short, and it's mainly to stretch out my upper traps, and obviously some mid trap. You're gonna get some lat activation at the top, obviously, right? Because your arms are trying to stay close to your body, but relative to all these other movements, it just doesn't. And this is how I'm keeping this list free from bias. Because if I wanted to use my bias, I would put this movement above everything, right? I fucking love the rack pull. It's my favorite exercise of all time. But I gotta be objective for the sake of this video. So this one's gonna be at bad. For overall back development. Next, the Croc Roll. I'm gonna put the Croc Roll at okay, right? Some okay movement for overall back development. You're getting a lot of rail delts, a lot of you're getting some lat activation, right? Because you got the extension part. But sadly, there's no abduction, right? I mean, there's no adduction. So I'm gonna put that one down here at okay, right? Because it's mainly gonna be a lower lat exercise as well as a mid traps and rhomboid movement. So it's gonna be at okay. Next, the Meadows Row, same thing, right? Meadows Row is gonna be at okay for overall back development. By the way, this was popularized by John Meadows. Really great exercise. You get a good stretch, a good contraction. But once again, this is mainly a great exercise for back thickness and a little bit of back width, right? Because there's no adduction component. Next, let's see the deadlift. I had to put Johnny Jackson on one of these pictures. Johnny Jackson and the deadlift. I'm gonna put that again for overall back development. I'm gonna put that at this is tough, guys. It's tough because again, we're talking about back thickness and back width. So I'm gonna put the deadlift at bad. Yep, I know. It sounds crazy, but keep in mind, guys, I'm referring to overall. Deadlift is great for obviously your entire posterior chain, right? You're gonna get a good upper traps, good mid back, and definitely some lats. Trust me, when you go heavy on the deadlift, before I stand my shit up, when I used to go heavy on the deadlift, I definitely felt my lats. All right, so your lats do get engaged doing the deadlift. But as far as if I could only pick one exercise for the rest of my life for back thickness and back width, it would not be the deadlift. In fact, some people can build amazing backs without deadlifting at all. In fact, most bodybuilders, yes, I know they got good genetics and on steroids and shit like that, but most bodybuilders don't even deadlift, to be honest. Just simply because the risk of injury as you go heavier and heavier increases as you try to increase your volume on the deadlift, right? You guys know volume, as long as you're lifting enough weights, is the number one factor when it comes to hypertrophy, and you just can't do super high volume on deadlift every single week. You just can't. So if I had to pick only one exercise for my back thickness and my back width, it will not be the deadlift. Next, again, the Pendulum Roll. I'm gonna put that one at okay, right? I'm gonna put that one at okay, right? Great exercise for lat. You got some extension action going on here. You got some rhomboids. Your rhomboids are activated. Your mid back. Great exercise, free weights. But the reason why I'm not gonna put it up there is simply because I know this one looks pretty similar, but let's just call this one the Bantha roll and this one the Pendulum Roll. Even though Lee Haney did do, kind of like a Pendulum Roll variation. But yeah, I'm gonna put that one at okay. Right, because now if this list was for back thickness, by far I would have put it at I'm about to nut. But this is back thickness and back width, right? So sadly, you're kind of missing the adduction component. Next, actually, to be honest, guys, I'm gonna put that one at fucking amazing. Pendulum Roll at fucking amazing. Because yes, it's true, you're not getting the adduction part for your lats, but it's just so close to the bent over roll, So it definitely deserves to be up there. I'm not gonna compare it to these. Next, the horizontal roll or the inverted roll. This is great for you guys who are doing body weight movements, calisthenics. You don't have access to a gym. You just want to go to a park and train. This is a great exercise for back. The EMG activation is through the roof. And I'm going to put that one at okay. Next, the Yates Row. I'm going to put the Yates Row at fucking amazing. You know, the Yates Row, again, it's just like the bent over roll. It's just you're doing an underhand grip instead of an overhand. That allows you to use more weight. You got to be careful, though, because they also push your biceps in a very vulnerable position. But it's a great exercise for back. As long as you're not too upright. If you're too upright, then it's mainly a trap exercise and, run boys. But as long as you're not too upright, it's a great exercise for overall back development. Next, and I had to put Ronnie Coleman here, guys. I just had to put a picture of him, right? So obviously that's not an exercise. So don't be like, oh, what exercise is this? Is this the Ronnie Coleman exercise? No, that's just me putting his picture there. All right, next up, because that's the goal, right? Great, crazy, ridiculous. I mean, look at this. Look at his upper traps. Look at his mid traps. Look at his lower traps, right? Look at the lats, the upper and lower lats. Look at that, the erectors. Amazing fucking back. Now, of course, there's a lot of genetics and vitamin S, but that's the goal. Next, pull-ups, wide grip pull-ups. I'm about to nut, right? If I could only pick one exercise, it would definitely be in my top 5 for back, simply because it's just I built my entire back with pull-ups. Every state that I've lived in, the first thing I would always do was go to a Walmart and buy a pull-up bar to put in my bedroom or the living room. Right? Nothing beats pull-ups, guys. Whether it's pull-ups or chin-ups, back time tested. You could do it almost anywhere. It's easy to progressively overload as long as your gym has the fucking belt thing that you can put the weights on. Great exercise for back width. Now, some argue that there's not a lot of back thickness involved because your upper and mid traps and run bars are not too active, but you could fix that by just arcing your back a little bit more, but you will get some lower trap activation. Good exercise. Same thing with the chin-ups. I'm about to nut, right? I'm so biased when it comes to these, but even if you remove my bias, they're some of the best exercises for your overall back development. Next, reverse hyperextension. Okay, so these, I'm going to put these at not pure garbage, that's a little too much. Actually, pure garbage, right? If my goal is overall back development, I'm not putting these at the top of my list, right? Simply because you're really working on your spinal erectors, right? There's not a lot of back thickness activation. There's not there's pretty much no lat activation, so fuck that. Next, behind the neck pull downs. I'm gonna put these at okay, right? Great exercise for your lats, your lower traps, and a little bit of mid back, but they're very hard to progressively overload. You get to a point where you just can't go stupid fucking heavy just because it's such an awkward movement, and some people get injured doing it. So I'm gonna put it at okay. Next, the cable roll. Cable roll, believe it or not, guys, it's gonna shock some people, but fucking amazing, man. I think it's an amazing underrated exercise, right? You're getting it's pretty much like a thing about it. It's pretty much a bent over roll. It's a pendulum roll, close grip, but you're just sitting down, right? So if you have lower back issues, that's out of the way. And again, you're activating your biceps, your real delts, your rhomboids, bars, your mid traps. You can fix the angle up a little bit depending on where you want to put the emphasis of the movement. So it's a really great exercise, and it's time tested. Cable roll can be beat. Great for lats, great for back thickness. Fucking amazing. Next, the dumbbell roll. Dumbbell roll. I'm gonna leave that one for last. So this one's actually the toughest one to actually put in a category because it's so good, but it does have its limitations. Next, we have the machine pull down. I'm gonna put that one at fucking bad. I'm talking about the machine pull down. That's the fucking Planet Fitness bullshit. If I could only pick one back exercise for the rest of my life, this one would not be at the top. Now again, keep in mind what I said at the start of the video. That doesn't mean that these exercises are not good, right? It just means that if I could only pick one, that wouldn't be number one, right? Next, the wide grip pull down, fucking amazing, right? I'm not gonna go into details, right? Wide grip pull down, it's pretty much pull-ups, right? The only reason why it's not up there is because there's a lot of stabilizer muscles that are not activated. But it's again one of the best exercises for back width, for pretty much adduction. Back thickness can be involved if you arc your back a little bit more. But again, great exercise, time tested. This one, I'm about to fucking nut. I'm sorry. It's very rare for me to put a machine exercise up here, especially pure machine as opposed to hammer strength. But the benefit of this exercise cannot be understated, guys. The close grip pull down with your back arc, right? You targeting your lats, so you got the extension part of the movement. There's also some mid back involvement as long as you arc your back, right? And depending on how you lower the weight, if you bring it down to your chest, close to your upper abs, I mean, you hitting so many muscles in your back. So this one is definitely in I'm about to not category. And you could obviously use a lot more weight than the wide grip pull down because of the bicep engagement. You're putting your biceps in a mechanically stronger position here. And again, finally, this one was pretty tough. The dumbbell roll. I'm gonna put the dumbbell roll at. Actually, let me think this one out because it's tough. It's definitely between fucking amazing and okay, right? It's amazing because again, you're getting a good stretch, good contraction, but because it's a free weight, it's easy to use body English to get the weight up. So it's easy to cheat and transfer the tension to other muscles as opposed to the back. I'm gonna put that one at okay. All right, so an okay exercise, great for back thickness though. Don't get me wrong. But the fact that I see a lot of people do this exercise wrong, it's easy to use momentum instead of using the lats. A lot of people just make this a bicep exercise because they're not really pulling with the elbows. So the exercise itself is good. It's very few people do this exercise right. So I'm gonna put that one out okay. But that's it, guys. That's my list of the very best exercises for back development. If you could only pick one, that is right. So there goes the top 4. You got the bent over roll, you got the isolateral low roll, you got the wide grip pull up, you got the chin up, and then you got the close grip pull down, followed by these exercises here and the ones at the bottom, right? Keep in mind, that does not mean that the ones at the bottom are useless. It just means they're not at the top of the list when constructing a program. Hope this video helps. Vote below for what you want me to cover next. We still have to do shoulders and traps and triceps, stuff like that. And hit me up for coaching, especially if you're skinny as shit and want to put on some size, or you're fat as fuck and are trying to lean down without having to do way too much cardio or cutting your calories too low. Those 2 things are my specialty. All right, guys, that's it. Peace.